For quite some time, the quality of the language used by political leaders has been deteriorating, indicating an overall degeneration of the so-called democratic politics. Recently, even top leaders exchanged words, which in a sense is totally unparliamentary. In fact, one of the strengths of Mrs. Gandhi has been restraint and the economy of language with which she conducted herself in public life. Who contributes to the degeneration of language can be a moot question. The fact of the matter is that abusive language is widely used. After independence, the then Defense Minister, Mr. Krishnamenon, used to refer to American rulers in very abusive language. Once, when a group of American journalists asked Mr. Krishnamenon, why does he do it? His reply was, abuse is a shortcut to equality. Menon's position was ideological as he viewed the United States as an emerging imperialist power. But when equals like the Prime Minister and the opposition leader hurl abusive words at each other, one cannot afford to be indifferent and has to look for reasons in the culture of politics or the politics of culture. The quality of the language in public life, in my view, is largely determined by ideological positions or, to be more philosophical, in the world view of public representatives. Certainly, the language of Jawaharlal Nehru, P. Sundaraiah, Ram Manohar Lohia, Jayaprakash Narayan and other leaders was restrained, persuasive, educative and enlightened. All these leaders had personal integrity, a background in the freedom struggle, and all of them dreamt of a new India and were committed to the creation of a democratic nation. They knew that politics is serious business, but not itself a business. To cite an example, when the Maoists came for peace talks in 2004, notwithstanding all the reservations people have of their politics, their language was measured and responsible. In spite of their politics being most controversial, they did not make a single statement which triggered public controversy. The increasing role of the market and declining role of the state brought a major difference in political culture. The market forces are not genuinely committed to a free market society, but the path of development and active players are lumpens, reducing the whole process to crony capitalism. Contractors, sellers of education, real estate wallas, and mafias of various kinds have come to shape the nature of politics. The representatives of such degenerated economic interests cannot be qualitatively different from the social base of their political power. The neoliberal model of development has robbed the nation of the essence of politics. In a sense, politics is the science of understanding and analyzing the problems of society and an art of solving the problems of society. Such a serious affair has come to be trivialized as almost all political parties have come to a consensus on the model of development. We don't know about Saudi Arabia, but the monumental despicability that emerges from the reports concerning a diplomat of that country in New Delhi for brutalization of two women from Nepal who were treated badly at the diplomat's official residence in Gurgaon has caused a revulsion in India. The allegations are extremely serious and must be thoroughly probed. If the prime mover in the sordid saga were an Indian or someone not enjoying diplomatic rank, there would be an outcry to send him to the gallows. India and Saudi Arabia have a bilateral relationship that has matured over the years, and New Delhi has long valued this engagement. In dealing with the case, both countries should proceed in a manner that ensures justice to the victims without ruffling feathers. The First Secretary in question enjoys immunity from prosecution in India as he is an accredited diplomat, but it is not inconceivable that he will be visited by the justice system of his own country. The charge should be established, of course. Ideally, Saudi judicial officials could be associated with the invitation in a mutually acceptable capacity. The governments of both countries should have sufficient confidence in one another to accommodate this. The question that should be troubling Riyadh is this: how would Saudi society and the Saudi government have reacted if something similar had occurred in their own country and fingers were pointing at a foreigner, even if he were a diplomat and his friends who were fellow countrymen? There is no need to pore over law books only to think of the conscience of a people. It simply does not matter that the women who were violated and robbed of their dignity were citizens of one of the poorest countries. Poor does not mean chattel or plaything, especially in an era in which human rights and personal liberties have an important place in the justice and moral systems of the world. What should also interest Riyadh is that its diplomat who has brought his country a bad name should have been in touch with Indian racketeers and human traffickers in finding domestic helps rather than authorized agencies whose work is above board. After the sordid Gorgon saga, it is extremely doubtful if any country would be happy to extend its hospitality to a rank pervert if allegations are even halfway right. The Saudi authorities might as well sack the brute and let true justice prevail.